All right, buddy. So what's your name and where you from?
So my name's Mike, man, from Chicago, born and raised.
Okay. Good old Chicago, man. And you've done quite a bit of time in and out of jail. I think you said your longest stretch was a little over 2 years. You've been in Cook County. I think you said Lakeside County. Is that what you
Lake
said?
County, Kane County. Uh, so yeah, Lake, Kane, and Cook.
Okay. And you've been to the penitentiary as well. We're going to be talking about that here in a second. But let's talk about the streets of Chicago really quick, man. I can only imagine you were probably running with some kind of group organization, man. I mean, that's just typical out there for the youth in Chicago. Were you running with anyone along those lines?
Yeah, man. I mean that's pretty normal in Chicago for the young cats to, kind of click up and run with somebody. So me personally, I was affiliated with the Harrison Gents, so part of the Folk Nation, Latin folk specifically, and that's who I ran with.
Okay. And for those of y'all that don't know, the majority of gangs are pretty much grouped into they got the folk nation and the people nation, and within those is a bunch of different gangs, correct?
Yeah, so I mean, every organization for the most part is going to belong to one of those two alliances.
And you said you were a part of the Harrison Gents.
Yeah, yeah, Harrison Gents, Hustlers and Gangsters.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Is that predominantly white organization, Latin organization, black organization?
so we fall under Latin folks, but even though we fall under Latin folks, gangs in Chicago really don't discriminate for the most part. Um, most Chicago gangs have members of all different races. Um, and race isn't really a big thing here like it is in, I know, like on the West Coast, race is huge, but in
Yeah, but I do
Chicago,
know that some organizations have more white people than others. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, I mean there definitely is.
Would
uh
you say what would you say would be the predominant nationality in that organization?
it's predominantly Latino, but
Okay, okay,
there are a lot of white members, and there are uh quite a few black members as well.
okay. All right. And you say you done time in Cook County. I've heard a lot of different things. I've had a cat on here that's done a lot of time in Illinois prison. Illinois, I need to say Illinois. Uh, and he said the gang thing pretty much is like the streets and the Cook County, but in prison it's not so much about gangs anymore. Is that true? Would you say it's like that?
it, I would agree to an extent. I mean, I think it still is a big thing in the prisons, but Cook County is just a whole nother animal. It's Cook County is gangland, man. It's 100% from every aspect of Cook County Jail is run by the gangs. The gangs are in control, uh, and the gangs run the jail. That's the way it is.
Well, look,
It's
this is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna approach this video, man. We're not gonna speak on prison at all in this video.
okay.
Maybe I can bring you on for a part two. We could do that. I wanna hear everything and anything that you know about Cook County Jail and just really break it down, man. The best way you possibly can, politics wise, gang wise, whatever the case is, even down to the damn, canteen list or something at the end. Just break it down,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, I got you.
First day in, going in, how was it for you? All that situation. Did you have a hard time? You know, what was it?
One one kind of interesting thing about it is they don't do strip searches no more there. They actually had a lawsuit. Cook County had a lawsuit.
No strip searches.
So, I mean, there are instances where they do strip searches within the facility, but upon intake, you don't have a strip search like you would at most facilities.
Oh,
Uh,
damn. I bet
yeah.
there's all kinds of goodies getting slipped through.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, they actually had a lawsuit about it. I don't know exactly the details of the lawsuit or what it all encompassed, uh, but I know they ended up settling it, and basically they implemented some new technology. So, as opposed to having
Oh,
scripture.
the chair you sit in, and it sees through everything.
Yeah, it's like a conveyor belt you stand on, and it puts you
Oh,
through like a little X-ray, not an X-ray, but you know what I'm saying. You know, a
yeah,
machine
yeah,
where they could see an image, under your clothes, and you know, I
in
don't
your
know
body.
exactly how what they see on the other end, but it's supposed to be able to have them identify, whatever you might be bringing in. But I know the shit don't work because there's a lot of shit that gets in there.
Yeah,
Uh, Slip right through with it. Um, so yeah, like you said, I think a lot of contraband comes in that way right off the streets.
yeah,
So that's kind of, I don't know, one thing I kind of thought was crazy when I first had gone in there. So anyways, that booking process, you're gonna go through all that shit the whole first day. It's gonna take that whole day. You talk to mental health people. They do like a mental health evaluation when you get there. They do classification, asks you about your criminal history. Probably pretty standard for the stuff they do most
yeah,
places.
yeah,
They don't separate people by gangs.
yeah. So they're all. I forgot. Yeah, they're all blended pretty much in there.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
I mean, even in in the dorms, especially, they'll have you know a GD sleeping next to a vice lord, right next to him, uh, and they don't think nothing about it. Uh, Now this the cells is a little bit different than that because the inmates, we kind of have a little bit more control over where we're going to be housed, and we make sure we're housed with our own people. But in the dorms, you don't really have that much freedom because there's so many guys in there. It's it's just too difficult for you to coordinate. Okay, well, we're gonna move here, and you're gonna move there, and this guy's gonna move over. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, how the hell does everyone get along? Because on the streets you see someone, it's you gun them down. That's how the law is most of the time out there, man. I mean, how are they living so close to each other, rival gangs?
yeah, so I mean, I've personally not spent a lot of time in the dorms there. I've been in the dorms, but I spent a little bit of time there. But I will say this: in Chicago, right now on the streets, you don't have no leadership, you don't have no structure. These young cats is running around doing whatever they want to do. They don't. They're not taking orders from nobody. They don't have nobody to report to. They can basically do what they want to do and get away with it, and they ain't gonna have no consequences behind it. At
Yeah,
least from their organization, because for most of them, there's nobody real, no big guy calling the shots. They might have a guy for their block calling shots,
yeah.
but there's really
Not
not
at
someone
whole.
in charge of the organization because they locked all the gang chiefs up back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
so
see, I
that's
don't
like a
understand that.
big,
I don't understand that. I understand they locked him up, but shit. I heard people say, if they were to free, what's his name, Hoover,
Larry
right?
Hoover.
Yeah, if they were to free him, that it would bring a lot of peace to the streets. They say because he would bring a lot of structure. You know, I can see that, but what I don't understand is if these chiefs and head honchos locked up doing life or had death penalty, whatever the case is, make new chiefs. I don't understand that. You know what I mean? They do it in the military.
Right.
Why can't you do it in gangland? I
You
mean, I
would think,
understand the loyalty behind it, and I understand that, but that's just in my viewpoints. Make new chiefs and structure that shit.
yeah, you would think so. And some organizations have definitely tried, and some organizations do have leadership. I'd say more Latin organizations in general tend to have more structure than a lot of the black gangs.
Yeah,
Most of the black gangs, they really don't have no leadership, and I don't know what that is. I mean, most of them that have tried to implement new leadership, what it is once you take out that big guy that everybody agreed he's the chief. We listen to him, and he had everything structured in a way that he could call shots, and he had people under him, and there's a hierarchy behind that. But when you take that guy out that's calling everything, and he's running this thing like a real military organization, when you take that away, you got, people that want to step up and take his place, but now one set over here might not agree with, they might
Yeah.
think that, somebody else or themselves should take that position. Or they might not agree with the person that takes that position. So in a lot of cases, the guys that have stepped up, they've been in some cases murdered by their own people,
Yeah. Taken
because I
out.
might not
Yeah.
like you telling me what to do, because I don't think that you should be in charge. I don't agree with it. So I'm gonna kill you, and you know then I'm gonna be the top dog, and then somebody else is gonna come and do the same to me. Somebody from your side is gonna do the same to me. So it's easier said than done,
Yeah,
because
it's easier said than done. There's too many. There's too many gangs, too many sets. They just need to consolidate. They need to. I know that would never happen either. And for those of y'all that don't know what consolidate is, it's just pretty much combine them into like one, I guess. But they need to simplify. There is too much going on. You know what I mean? I guess that's how I look at it. Too many. There's too many going
they
on,
say
and
I think they say there's over 100,000 known gang members in Chicago. One thing that makes it very difficult is because of the way it's structured inside of Cook County Jail, with there being the Latin folks and the people, and is for the Latin folks is one love. So if I'm Latin folks and you Latin folks, we together in Cook County. On the street, there's inter alliance conflicts. So even though we're a Latin folks organization, Latino folks, most of our primary opposition, our enemies on the street, are actually other Latino folks gangs. So most of the people we beef with on the street are Latin folks.
see,
So
that's so weird, man.
it makes it difficult, because one of our biggest rivals on the streets is the SDs. Uh, but in the county, they're folks and we're folks. But we're both Latin folks. It's one love. We have to come together, and that's the way it's structured. We're expected to come together and not have no issues, and basically be one and the same when we're up in there. Which, like I
Just
said,
two different, totally different types of politics from jail to streets.
right, and
I can understand how it happens because in jail, you need all the numbers you can get. You know what I mean?
that's why they have it set up that way. But that's one of the things, when a lot of the chiefs got taken down, there was a lot of inter alliance conflicts within alliances that are supposed to be alliances on the street. There's turmoil within those alliances, and there's even turmoil within the same gang. But you can imagine, you're not even the same gang. You're just supposed to be allies. But if you have issues, there's disagreements. It can't always be settled so easily, especially in the streets with a lot of these young cats. Uh, so it comes down to gunplay, and then it creates a war. But then, like I said, when you get thrust into the system, you're expected to, it's supposed to be one love within Folk Nation organizations.
Yeah.
And it's not just us and the SDs. A good example would be like Gangster Disciples and Black Disciples. They've been having a big war going on the
Yeah.
streets in the county. They're supposed to be together. So, uh,
Well, let me ask you this, man. What were maybe some of the typical reasons why there would be so much conflict within, the Latin folk nation? I guess you could call it, man. Why do you think would be the? Would it just be money or
a lot of it starts out. A lot of it starts out
I'm
as just
guessing it would be
money.
money or women or something along those lines, man.
Yeah, a lot of it starts out as money, women, personal issues with a certain person, and it might be a personal issue that has nothing to do with gangs, but now it's like, I got my people and you got your people. If me and you got issues, it's like they're gonna have my back and your people are gonna have your back. Now, if we're going at it, we're gonna bring our brothers into it, and now that can start a war, and especially once somebody ends up dead over the situation. Now, we got one of you, you're going to come back in one of us, and it's going to go back and forth and back and forth. And if you don't got no strong leadership to sit everybody down and come to an agreement where it could be settled, and you could have some type of ceasefire, or you could, come back together and find a solution. It's just never going to end, and that's the crazy part. So, I mean, I said that's the most hardest thing about coming from the streets to jail is having to, be expected to be in these
Friends with your
alliances with
enemies. Yeah.
your own people. Yeah.
So,
But I mean, like I said, the Cook County Jail is very structured. It's when you get in, when you walk on your cell block, the first thing that's gonna happen is people are gonna holler at you. There's gonna be somebody running the block for the People Nation and the Folk Nation. So when you first get in there, they're gonna tell you. Typically, they're gonna say, okay, if you People Nation, you're gonna be on the bottom. Go talk to that guy. If you Folk Nation, you're gonna get up on the top tier. You go talk to him. That's who's in charge.
what if you're
Uh,
not? What if you're nothing? What if you're just a part of the American nation?
so so if you a neutron, if you a
Oh
neutron,
God, let's hear it. What happens to these neutrons, man?
man, these neutrons, man, they're just they're seen as
Food.
the bottom, the lowest of the low. They're seen, yeah, as victims, man, because they don't they don't have nobody coming in, and when pretty much everybody else is affiliated, the neutrons they kind of stick together a little bit, but they don't got the numbers. Uh, when everybody is affiliated, there might be a few neutrons, and they're gonna kind of stick together, have each other's back, but they're definitely gonna be preyed upon, uh, and and it can be difficult. They get tested a lot. But even something as simple as like the chow line, when we get our food, typically on the blocks that I've been on, is the people are going to go first. The People's Nation are going to go first in line because they're on the first floor. The Folk
Why do
Nation,
you think it would be? Oh, because they're on the first floor. Okay.
yeah, the Folk Nation are going to go second, and the neutrons you're eating last. You're going to get your food last, um, and that's kind of just the way it is. They're always last place. They're always, you know,
They get
victimized.
last. They get no picks for anything really, and if
No, I
there
mean
is
getting on
anything
the
left, they get whatever scraps or I guess you know.
right.
Yeah, I know what you
Hope that
mean.
somebody lets them on the phone. Hope that somebody lets them take
Yeah.
a shower when they want to.
There ain't never been no cool ass neutron, busting from folk to people like, yo, what's up? They're just cool like that, and they're like, yo, yeah, that dude's cool ass neutron.
I mean, it happens. They're not completely always outcasted. They can. They could chill with us. But I mean, typically they're not gonna bunk with us. They're gonna be cellies together, and like I said, they're gonna kind of stick with their own. But they'll come around. I mean, they could interact with us, just sit and play cards, and if you real recognize real. So if
Yeah,
you're a real cat and you can hold your own, and people will respect you on that as a man.
yeah.
Um,
You don't think
but
it? Let's say someone like me comes into the block. I tell them, yo, I'm not even from here, dog. I'm neutron. I'm a neutron right now. You know what I mean? You think anybody be like, because I guarantee they'll roll up on me, like, okay, this guy's been somewhere, seen some of things, by the way he carries himself and his lingo, way of talking. You think he want to be like, yo, you trying to run with us? I mean, does anyone
it's
naturally come like that to
it's
people?
definitely it's definitely possible. I mean, first off, people are gonna sit back and observe you. And I mean, that happens in jail. Anybody new comes on the cell block, the first thing, everybody's going to be all eyes on you. They're going to be watching how you move, how you carry yourself. Are you somebody I could victimize? Are you somebody I could plot on? Um, you could be seen as a send off too. I might say, "Hey, I want you to be part of our organization," but really, I'm just having you, send off missions. I'm just having you do the shit none of us want to do. Um,
What type of stuff might that be? Get some canteen for someone or something like that,
yeah, man,
or put
I
in a
might
little
have
work.
Yeah, I might have you put in some work. I might, hand you. You might hold our blades for us. You might hold our weapons. Um, you might hold any contraband we might have. Uh, any type of dirty work, anything that might get somebody in trouble. You might, we might have you to do that for us to prove yourself when really we don't have no
We
intention of
don't
having
get
you.
you ain't got no respect for me.
Right,
You ain't got no
exactly.
respect for old death. You just make me hold shanks over here all damn night, man. I'm over here suitcases, shanks, and cell phones all night.
Man. But at the same
uh,
time, like I said, it's possible somebody could bring you into organization as well.
yeah.
It really just depends on, the block you're in and the people there and kind of what's going on. But for the most part, like I said, if you a man and you could stand on your own, people respect that. And you're gonna be, kind of able to allow it to move freely um, throughout the cell block, kind of do you. Now that's also going to depend in where you're going to be housed in the jail. Like for example, Division 10, that's going to be maximum. That's where all the killers and shooters are going to be. They're going to be a little bit more rough and tough and a lot more fighting and stabbing and assaulting police officers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you might be outcast a little bit more somewhere like that. They might not even want you on the block somewhere up there like that. They might try to get you out of there. Um, so it kind of depends on your security level as well and where you're going to be housed.